Where would we be without animals? They've been there for us throughout and helped us in so many different ways. The family cat that wakes you up with all their purring, the serious service dog who does everything in their power to protect or care for you. You are sure to be moved by this story, but before we get there, we have another one that is bound to amaze you. This story may be familiar to some, but it is worth telling over and over again, if only to celebrate how great it is. Who knows if there is a Valentine's guardian angel? But chances are, you will believe there is one after this. After this, there is a special magic about the animals that we can only see in the wild. Some are gentle and might even be curious of humans if they end up close. Dolphins are notorious for interacting with divers in the water, and monkeys are known for being smart and mischievous creatures who would like to sneak up on you and steal your food or perhaps an interesting piece of clothing like a hat. But others mean business, and you'd never be interacted with unless you are prepared to sustain a serious injury. That's the case with our story today. But instead of the typical aggression, this owl demonstrated something unbelievable. Michael Fishback is the co-director of the Great Whale Conservancy and happened to be out making observations in the Sea of Cortez on Valentine's Day. The boat he was on was making its way through the water when Fishback saw a sight that made his heart drop. A beautiful humpback whale dead and floating on the surface. The devastated crew made their way over to the magnificent whale, but upon drawing closer, they discovered something shocking. The whale was alive by the time the boat reached the humpback, and it released air loudly, almost as if it was calling out for help. Once the crew got close, it became clear why. We sadly saw a whale trapped in nets, which is too common as fishermen don't always cut the ropes and let them go. Traps for fish are abandoned. Fishing boats will cast them into the water, but often forget or purposefully not return to collect them if they find a better catch elsewhere. However, this means that many innocent fish and marine animals can find their way into the nets, and then often are not able to escape and die a slow, agonizing death. Fishback knew that this was a common story, and because nobody knew how long the whale had been stuck, it was a matter of urgency that they released the stunning creature, so Fishback made a brave and perhaps foolish decision. He got into the water. Now getting up close to a whale is dangerous. Even though humpbacks are not known to be violent, they are gigantic, and one clumsy move could be fatal to something as small as a human. To add to that, the whale was clearly in distress, so it wasn't impossible to think that it might suddenly make a deadly movement in confusion. But even though Fishback knew the realities of the situation, he still chose to jump in because he felt certain that it was the right call, and he knew the whale might not have very much time to lose. As soon as he got up close, Fishback said he and the whale's eyes met. It was an incredibly powerful moment, and it felt like the whale knew what Fishback was trying to do. On the boat, the only tool the crew had was a small knife. So Fishback got to work. It took a long time and a lot of effort, but slowly he was able to free one of the whale's pectoral fins. After some time, not only was the second pectoral free, but the tail fin was as well, and the rest of the netting was able to be pulled away. Fishback and the crew watched in awe as the humpback swam away, and then they quickly pulled the rest of the netting into the boat so it wouldn't be able to trap any more unwitting creatures. But this story isn't done. Moving and fulfilling as it must have been to Fishback and its companions, the humpback seemed to want to show them its appreciation, and did so in the most extraordinary way imaginable. For the next hour, the humpback stayed in the area and put on the most magnificent show Fishback and his crew had ever seen. Tail lobs, pectoral fin slaps, and most stunning of all, dozens of breaches. It seemed as though the whale was showing her thanks in the best way knew how. The breathtaking display was caught on video, and millions around the world got the opportunity to share in the beautiful celebration. Fishback has seen many whale performances before and since, but that one hit a little bit differently. It's definitely not every day that someone can say they got a thank you dance from a whale while out on the open ocean. Did that make you tear up? Well, we're not quite done. Get ready for another doozy of a story, the one you've been waiting for in Woo. Woo is the story about You Ask You've Got. It's about an owl. And while this story starts, sadly, I promise you, there is a happy ending, so stick around.
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
Wild at Heart is an animal rescue organization in Mississippi. They are used to dealing with a wide variety of animals and do everything they can to rehabilitate animals in the hopes of releasing them back into the wild so they can live their lives the way they were meant to. Unfortunately, not every story there has a happy ending, as some of the animals that are brought to them are too sick or badly injured to be able to be saved, and in that case, the only thing Wild at Heart is able to do is to provide a safe and warm space that's filled with love for the animal to pass on to their next life in. This was the situation that the Wild Heart staff thought they were in when someone brought in a great horned owl one day. The owl had extremely serious head trauma, possibly the result of a collision with a vehicle, and it seemed very unlikely that she was going to survive the night. However, by some miraculous chance, the owl named Gigi by the staff managed to get past the worst of her injuries, and after a few days, it became clear that a recovery was very likely. For her rehabilitation, Gigi was placed in the care of Douglas "Dub" Projecki, who was affectionately called the Birds of Prey Whisperer. He had dealt with many birds of prey before and was known for having an otherworldly connection with them. As mentioned before, some animals are not known to be gentle creatures, and great horned owls definitely belong in that group. They are known to be fairly aggressive, so for most people, the thought of interacting with one could be fairly intimidating. This was not a concern for Doug, however, and he quickly got to work building a connection between him and Gigi. As time went by, she grew more and more attached, and soon that bond was as strong as Gigi was rapidly getting. At some point during Gigi's recovery, Doug had to take a few days off work to visit his family. At this point, Gigi was acclimatized enough to her environment that she could do without him for a few days, and Doug and the rest of the staff even warned if she would recognize him when you returned. What happened when he did come back, though, is far beyond what anyone could have imagined. They always say that animals remember, but I know that some folks aren't sure. Perhaps it's a coincidence, or perhaps animals just remember your scent, or that you are the hand that feeds them. However, one looks on an animal's happy face often shows that isn't true. They clearly remember you and all the wonderful things that you do for them. When Doug arrived back at work, Gigi was beside herself. She was so excited to see her favorite person that she couldn't stop dancing. Not only did she dance, but her feelings about her friend were so strong that she just couldn't contain herself, and she went right up to wrap him in a feathery hug. And as if that were not adorable enough, she actually rested her head on his shoulder in the ultimate display of affection. If anyone was skeptical of Doug's title as the Birds of Prey Whisperer, then this event certainly erased any doubts. Photos and videos were taken of the touching moment, and reactions of praise and awe rolled in from around the globe. There have been lots of stories over the years about animals who are caught in sticky situations, either injured or entangled in something, and even though they might normally be aggressive or defensive, when a human shows that they are there to help, the animals act completely differently and even sometimes hang around to show some sort of appreciation, like in the first story of our video today. It seems that that is exactly what happened with Gigi and Doug, and what a special moment that is sure to stay with them forever. In happy news, shortly after this special hug, Gigi was released back into the wild, and Doug continues to be the hero that he is, making one moving bird connection at a time. Well, hopefully you're not a complete puddle of tears, but no one will blame you if you are. These stories were pretty powerful, weren't they? It really shows that humans are complex and intelligent creatures who are capable of showing intense emotion and affection to more than just their own kind. We have a lot to learn from them. We would love to hear about any animal experiences you've had, so in the comments below. There is nothing like hearing about those special moments. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Thank you.